Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So last week we talked about kalam and we said speech is made up of words, and those words are ism, fi'l and harfs. And then we talked about what an ism is, how do you recognize an ism, how do you recognize a harf. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments and inshallah I'll try to answer them as I go through. Right, so here in this lesson we're going to be looking at this now. So Babul I'rab. The next important concept you need to understand is the concept of I'rab. Okay, I'rab. Now, what is I'rab? Let me just translate it for you, then I'll explain to you what I'rab is. Al-I'rab huwa. I'rab is تغيير أواخر الكلم. The changing of the end of words. So the changing of the end of words is known as I'rab. Now, in any language, right, you have words. So in Arabic, let's say you had the word kitab. Okay, this word kitab that you have here, it has vowels on there. Okay, these are known as harakat. Harakat. So in Arabic, we actually look at the last letter of every word. So the last letter in this case is a ba. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be focusing on this last letter. And this last letter, the vowels, they change. Okay, this changing is known as i'rab. تغيير أواخر الكلم. So the changing of the vowels, the changing of the haraka on there is going to be called, or is called i'rab. Okay, so it changes from different things. Next week we're going to find out what kind of things it can take. But in this case, it can take dhamma, yeah, so kitabun. It can possibly take kitabin, or it can take kitaban. So this changing of vowels is known as i'rab. Now, why do these change for? So he says, لِاخْتِلَافِ الْأَوَامِلِ الدَّاخِلَةِ عَلَيْهَا. Due to the changing of the awamil, the governing words, الداخلة, which have entered upon i'rab عليها, upon it. In other words, the kalim. عليها goes back to the kalim. Kalim is the plural of kalima. Okay, so words. So the words that you have, so kitab is a word. So this word can be influenced, affected by other words. Okay, so to make it simple, let me just make it a bit more easy to understand. In Arabic, you have three types of words. You have words that affect others. Number one, you have words that affect others. You have words that are affected. And you have words, number three, that do nothing. Okay, so you have three types of words out there. Words that affect, words that are affected, and words that do nothing. So imagine this like people as well. So there's some people who are very loud, yeah, blah 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 blah, 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 blah. They affect others. Yeah. There's some people who get influenced by these people. Yeah, trying to think about these people, get influenced by them. And then you get a third group of people who nothing happens to. Yeah, they just sit down, cross-armed, cross-legged. Yeah, nothing happens to them. So when you're studying Arabic language, what you have to remember is that words can be affected. Yeah, words can be affected. So sometimes there's words that are affected, and sometimes some words are actually not affected. Right, so this is what today's lesson is all about. So i'rab huwa taghiru is the changing of the end of words due to the changing of awamil. Awamil, remember, like we said, are those words that affect others, yeah, that have an influence on them. And when we say affect, what we mean by affect is that they can change this vowel. So they can change the vowels. Yeah, they can change one, they can change into another. الداخلة عليها, those which have been entered upon them. لفظا أو تقديرا. لفظا أو تقديرا means that some words in the Arabic language, physically you can see a change. Yeah, a change can be seen. So for example, like the word kitab. Yeah. If you saw dhamma there, and on one occasion you saw fatha there, and on one occasion you saw kasra there, you can actually see the change take place. It's a visible. So lafzan you can say is visible. Yeah, it's there. Visible change takes place. Sometimes on the other hand it's a bit tricky. Yeah, and the trickiness is because of you can't see it. Okay, it can't be seen. So because it can't be seen, that's a bit problematic. Okay, so this is what we need to remember. So for example, like you've probably seen this famous name, Musa. Okay, Musa, over here, there is a change taking place, but it's an internal change. You can't see it. You have to assume it. So taqdeeran you can translate as assumed change. I hope that's how you spell it. Yeah. If you don't spell it like that, then start spelling it like this. Okay, so here there is supposed to be a change taking place at the end of the word, but it's always the same. So we assume that it's taking place hidden. You know, like sometimes when someone's ill and on the outside you can't see it, but on the inside, if they visit the doctor will say that, okay, yeah, this person's ill on the inside. So likewise, taqdeeran means assumed change takes place on the inside, whereas lafzan means that the change takes visibly on the outside. So let me recap that again. I'rab, what is i'rab? I'rab is the changing of the end of words. Yeah, so kitabun, kitaban, kitabin, because of the عوامل داخلة عليها. Those awamil, those affecting words, those governing words, words that can have influence on other people and change them. Either their change takes place physically, you can see it, can be seen, or taqdeeran, hidden change. You can't see it. So that's what basically i'rab is all about. Now, this change that takes place, how is it? So if you look at this sentence I've written here, yeah, I've written a nice sentence there. Let me a few sentences I've written. Let me bring this up. Okay, so if you look at this, you can see the word Zaid. Zaid is a student. I saw Zaid in the class. The teacher said, the book is for Zaid. Okay, now, if you notice, Zaid has appeared in all three sentences. Now, the difference is that in the first sentence, he appears before is. There's is, isn't it? Yeah, so it's appeared before is. In this sentence, it's appeared after a verb. So Zaid has appeared after a verb. And over here, it's appeared after for. Yeah, so after for. Okay, after. So over here, before is. Let me give it another color. Same colors are not always nice. So just give it a blue. And over here after the verb, and over here after for. So what you have to remember in Arabic grammar, which a lot of students find difficult to grasp, is that vowels change because of where the word appears in the sentence. Depending on where a word appears in a sentence, the i'rab will change. Yeah, so over here, it's being influenced. Zaid is being influenced over here. So it will take a certain type of vowel over here. Yeah, so it's being influenced over here. So over here, it takes a certain type of vowel. Right? Over here, because it appears after a verb, it's taking a different type of vowel. Let me give it a different color. Pink. Yeah, a different type of i'rab. And over here, because it appears after for, right, it takes a different type. Right? So you have to remember, depending on where a word appears in a sentence, like if it appears before is, does it appear after is, does it appear after a verb, does it appear after for? Depending on where it appears, that's going to have an influence on the vowels that are going to appear on Zaid. So I hope that's made a bit of sense. So let's go back to this then. So he says, i'rab is the changing of the end of words due to the changing of the awamil, the effectors, you can say, or the governing words, ad-dakhila, which have been applied or attached to those words. Either this change appears physically, seen, lafzan, or taqdeeran, assumed. Okay, but a change does take place. A change will take place with these words, the affected words. Right? The non-affected words, like I said, they're not affected. Okay, so now, what are the types of i'rab? So here, you have aqsam who goes back to i'rab. So what are the aqsam of i'rab? What are the types of i'rab? So what you have to remember is this. I'rabs only affect two types of words. Yeah, they only affect isms and fi'ls. Yeah, nouns and verbs. So when it comes to nouns, what states can a word take? In other words, what are all the possibilities of i'rab? So ism can take three possibilities of i'rab. Okay, three possible changes. Either it can go into what we call the rafa state, or we can have the nasab state, or we can have the jar state. Now remember what I said to you before. I said to you, all these states are according to where the word falls in a sentence. So let me give you an example. You know the rafa state? Yeah. An example of this would be any word that appears before is. Yeah, so any word that appears before is in a sentence. This is what we call the rafa state. The nasab state. Nasab is the second one. Any word that appears after a verb. Yeah, nasab state. Yeah, in most cases. And any word that appears after for is the jar state. Yeah, so these are, I've given you now, you can add this to list and you can say, okay, rafa, number one, any word that appears before is. Nasab, number one, any word that appears after a verb. And jar, number one, any word that appears after for. Okay, or rather, let me write preposition because that's the more technical word. After preposition. Okay, so what you can do is slowly you can build your list. And slowly when we go through the book, when we cover, inshallah, more and more of Ajurrumiyya, we're going to be adding more to this list. The rafas, there's about 8 of them. I'll just tell you now. There's about 8 rafas. 8 positions that a word appears in, which gives it the rafa state. Nasab, there's about 12 of them. There's 12 positions that a word can appear in different sentences, which will put it in the nasab state. And jar state, there's 2. Yeah, so 2 positions in a word sentence, which will give it the jar state. So at the moment, you don't know what they are. Yeah, but don't worry. All you have to do, write down in your notebook that, oh, rafa state, how many are there? 8 positions. One of them is before is. Yeah, okay. Nasab's 12. One of them is after a verb. Okay. Jar is 2. One of them is after a preposition. Yeah, so like that, slowly you'll build it up, inshallah. Right, verbs on the other hand, verbs. Okay, verbs, they have 3 states as well. Okay, 2 of the states they share with an ism, and one is exclusive to the fi'l. So the ones that they share with an ism, okay, is the rafa, the nasab, and the jazm. Yeah, so you can see again that jazm is unique to fi'ls and jar is unique to isms. Okay, jazm is unique to fi'ls and jar is unique to isms. Okay, so again, so these are to do with verbs now. So depending on where a verb appears in a sentence, or what appears before a verb, it can have an effect on it. Yeah, so the verbs can either be, we can say, in the rafa state, in the nasab state, in the jazm state. So as long as you've got the idea, then slowly, inshallah, you'll start to understand it more and more. Okay, so let's go back to this then. Now, I just want to clarify one thing here. You know when it says jar, in this book, he uses the word khafad, like we said last week. So you can say khafad. I might be using the word jar on many occasions because I'm used to that. But he says khafad, that's fine. Yeah, totally fine. Yeah, you can use whichever one you want. If you're a jar person, you use jar. If you're a khafad person, you go for khafad. Yeah, whatever rocks your boat, man. So let's go back to this. أقسامه أربعة. The types of إعراب, in other words, the types of vowel changing states a word can be in of are four altogether. Meaning, if you combine fi'l and ism together, there's four. Rafa, nasab, khafad, and jazm. Yeah, altogether there's four only. The whole of the Arabic language, just four. So, falil asma. So then, for the isms, for the nouns, min dhalika, from those four, al-rafa is for nouns, nasab, and khafad, like we said, is exclusive to nouns. Wala jazma fiha, and there is no jazm when it comes to nouns. Jazm does not apply to nouns. Now, jazm is a concept, okay? So I'm not going to tell you what the jazm concept is yet because it requires you to learn a few rules. That will come a bit later on, inshallah. Okay, walil af'al, and verbs, and for verbs, from those four, from min dhalika, yeah, al-rafa, wal-nasab, wal-jazm, yeah, and jazm is unique to verbs. Wala khafadha fiha, and in verbs there's no khafad. Like I said to you, khafad jar is unique to isms, just like jazm is unique to fi'ls. Okay, so basically this is showing us, this teaches us about the different positions that a word can come in a sentence, and depending on what position comes in a sentence, that's how it's going to affect the vowels at the end of the word. So this concept of i'rab is all to do with the concept of changing of the vowels. So this lesson is important for you to understand several things. Number one, you need to understand that there's words out there that affect other words. These are called the awamil. There's about 100 of them in Arabic language. Okay, there's about 100, just over 100. These are affectors, yeah, very influential people. And these are entered upon words like nouns and verbs, and they can affect them. Some things they don't affect, no effect, nothing. But sometimes they have an effect. Okay, so I would say this to make it easy to understand that all particles are non-affecting. Yeah, particles are the ones that do not get affected ever. Okay, so aqsamuhu, and the types. Okay, what about the types? In other words, what are the types of i'rab? I'rab types are of four types. You get rafas, you get nasabs, you get khafad, you get jazms. Now these are all names for states, the state of a word. So a word, depending on where it falls in a sentence, is in what we call the rafa state. And where it falls in a sentence, we say nasab state, or khafad state, or jazm state. So isms have rafa states, nasab states, and khafad states. Whereas fi'ls have rafa states, nasab states, and jazm states. Yeah, so just like khafad is unique to isms, jazm is unique to fi'ls, ism fi'ls. Alright, so like I said to you, if you go back to this again, see, in English we don't really take much notice of where a word appears in a sentence, but in Arabic it's extremely important. So let me just give you an example here. Because Zaid, let me find color. Okay, so because Zaid has appeared before is, Zaid takes Dhamma. You would say Zaydun. And this is a symbol, that Dhamma is a symbol of Rafa state. And because Zaid in the second sentence appears after I saw, we give it two fathas. Because this symbol, fatha, is a symbol for nasab. And the teacher said the book is for Zaid, we give it kasra. Because this symbol, kasra, is a sign for jar. So next week we're going to be covering the signs. What signs, how do you identify a word is rafa? What sign do you give it? How do you identify a word is Zaid? What sign do you, nasab? What sign do you give it? And how do you identify a word is jar? What sign do you give it? Okay, so that's basically that. Now, if I show you in this text here, anybody got any questions? You got no questions? MashaAllah, you guys are nice, good students. Yeah, what is an ism, Sheikh? I'll leave that to you, Sheikh. Allahu A'lam. Allah knows best. Okay, so i'rabu. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to highlight to you what is a rafa in this whole passage. All the rafas, all the nasabs, all the jars. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to color all the rafas in red. So this word is rafa. Okay, this word is rafa. 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 This word is rafa state. This word in the rafa state. This word is in the rafa state. This word is in the rafa state. In the rafa state. In the rafa state. Now don't ask me why I know this, because it's going to take a long time to explain it, and that's why you're doing the course. Rafa state, rafa state, rafa state. Okay, all these words are in the rafa state. Now let me show you in the nasab state. So nasab state, taqdeeran nasab state, lafzan nasab state, la jazma nasab state, la khafta nasab state. Okay, let me show you now the jar states. The jar states. So awakhir, kalim, ikhtilaf, عوامل, الداخلة, the hade, okay, the hude, the hu, أقسامه, أسماء, ذلك, hade, أفعال de, ذلك, and hade. Yeah, so all words in this passage are either going to be rafa, nasab, or jar. And as you can see, there's no jazm there. At the moment, there's no jazm. We're not dealing with jazms. Yeah, so you can see they're very nice, colorful. Okay, so these are all the reds are all the rafa state, and the blues are all the nasab state, and the greens are all the jazm state. Now, how do I know this? Because these words have appeared in such a position that when they appear there, like the green ones, you have to put it in the jar state. And the red ones have appeared in such positions in a sentence that you have to give it the rafa state. And the blue ones have appeared in such a position that you have to give it the nasab state. Okay, everyone understand that? Okay, so I mean, if you look at the Quran, let me just give you an example. Okay, many words, and these words, they'll either fall under one of those states, and because of those states, can you see these vowels on here? Fakihatun, yeah, nakhlun, rummanun, fabi'ayyi, ala'i, rabbi. And we said we deal with the end of the words. Tukadhiban, fihinna, khayratun. Yeah, so all these words that you have over here, qablahum, rafrafin, khudrin, these are all either in one of the four states. Yeah, in the rafa state, in the nasab state, in the jar state, in the jazm state. How do we know which state they're in? Because when you learn Arabic grammar, you're going to learn that if a word appears, like I just showed you, if a word appears before the is, then it's in the rafa state. That's one example of it, and there's 7 more other states. If a word appears in the after a verb, it's in what we call the nasab state, and the jar state if it appears after, let's say, preposition. Okay, so I hope that makes sense, guys. Hope these comments are working. I know some of you guys are busy writing away, and it's not the ideal place to use or platform to use, but alhamdulillah, I mean, the recordings are there, so those of you guys who miss out on the recordings can miss out on the lesson, catch up on the recordings as well, inshallah. Okay, so that's what we covered all today, inshallah. And next week we're going to be doing the signs of these 4, hopefully, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.